Hello and welcome back to the long and strange saga, where we are going on a HyperStone Quest. We've been on this quest for quite some time, and we are in a pretty complicated situation in the Land of Power. We've got a lot of things going for us, but we also have a lot of things coming for us. So I have kind of taken a break to recharge, recuperate, and plan a little bit. And also, I did a little bit of research because I remembered seeing something on the forums that surprised me is Zeno, the developer of this game, actually mentioned finding this area easier than the vineyard. At one point, at least. But he actually remarked that that was in large part because the Land of Power was so difficult to balance that he had to spend a lot more thought on the Land of Power, and so he was more used to it. But still, I thought that was pretty strange because I consider this by far the most difficult area. So, we have the Orb of the, Orb of Trickery available to us. And so I'm going to use that to put down a couple of protectors. Now, the most important ones are this flash switch coming up to our left over here, and this flash switch coming up down here. And then I am also concerned about this golem coming up toward us. And it looks like we're using not very many charges, and so I'm going to make sure that these witches over here have something to think about. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my way up to this power stone up to the north of me, and I'm going to try and get to these orbs of flash. So I'm going to start making my way up here, and I'm going to really take my time. And it looks like, okay, so that's an illusion. I thought that was a witch coming after us. So there is now, I see a speed witch coming up toward one of my illusions in the far south. But we are, let's see, we still have a bit of speed left, 49. And we still have a bit of ether. And so I may want to actually use the ether to get into the cabinet instead of the flash. It's not really clear that that's the best option. And I do have the flash available to me, and I have these flash orbs nearby. But because we have this flash switch coming up, a couple of flash switches coming toward us, it's a little bit, it's dangerous. We do have some more ether power coming up. So we may actually want to grab this invisibility as well. That may be something that's valuable to us. So really coming up with a strategy, I think, is going to be extremely important to getting our way out of here. As long as we don't have an exit visible, I'm going to be pretty anxious. Because finding an exit is going to be extremely important once we get this 10th Hyperstone. Now we still have quite a bit of ether, so I'm going to expend it to enter the cabinet. I'm going to recharge it. And then I'm going to grab this flash, and that will give us a way of dealing with these flash switches that are coming up at us from a few different directions. Now, there are a couple of open questions right now. One is, what is the Power Stones orb? Is there one? I don't actually know. It might be the Orb of Fire, because I noticed that there was an Orb of Trickery. I believe we used that quite effectively. So that means that we have access to orbs that we have not unlocked. Now, I don't actually know... Also, I don't know what the Cocytus orb is. I haven't figured that out. So, we have 2 speed witches coming up behind us. That shouldn't be too bad because we have still quite a lot of speed. We have 2 flash witches. This one is 1, 2, 3 spaces away from the space that I want to move on to. This one is 1, 2, also looks like 3 spaces away. So, I should be able to fight both of them at once. If I come up to the middle here. But I'm worried about these speed witches. So I think what I may want to do is grab this orb of life and hope that I am able to... Let's see. I can hit... What can I hit? I can hit the Flash Witch, I think. I'm not entirely certain. And I can hit the Fire Witch, I think, but I'm not entirely certain. So if I try to move here... Okay, I didn't actually do anything. Now we have 17 winter left. And we have 144 flash left. So we can actually escape through this firewall, and that will leave our golem behind, but it should allow us, let's see, can I move here? And that will actually get me in trouble with this Flash Witch, but we can pick up some invisibility, some flash, and some shielding, and then we can recharge our speed and our winter. And that will give us a great deal of maneuverability. Now, what do we have running out? The shielding does not last very long. So that is probably the thing to be most concerned about. But the shielding also doesn't do very much for us. So I'm not too worried about it. Now we have some ether, some invisibility. We don't need to get into cabinets anymore. We don't need any more power stones. So I'm going to make my way up to this Ether Witch. And that actually expended my flash, which may have been a big mistake. This Orb of Teleport could actually be pretty valuable. So we may want to use our Ether to do that. And let's see if we can find our way to an exit. Don't really want to pick up that Orb of Fire. We would like to get to that Orb of Flash. The Orb of Life also could be very valuable, but because we've been moving through fire so much, it's not really certain that that is the case. Okay, the Speed Witch would kill me there. It looks like we've already lost our golem, so... Okay, so I see an exit, and we have the Orb of Teleport. We made it out. We've lost all of our powers, but we made it out. That's... Wow. I'm really happy that we made it out. I was really not sure. So, I think the silver mine is all we have left. And we would still like to hit up Camelot. I think it would be valuable to hit up Camelot because the Orb of Trickery is really valuable. We do not have anywhere near enough dead orbs, and so we probably can't do that right now. We need a lot more, like 6 times as much as we have at least. And I don't really want to spend this whole episode gathering those. I'm, a little bit of 2 minds, because I feel like I could have a really leisurely episode where I talk about some of the things that I've been thinking about recently, But is that actually what I want to do? Do I have enough to talk about to do a really leisurely gathering the dead orbs kind of episode? I don't know. That's certainly not what I have planned to do. Now, let's see, we have our Necromancer totems. Okay, so the Orb of Fire, I think, is the Land of Power orb that we're now getting. I still have not figured out what the Cocytus power is. But I don't actually know for certain that there is one. I think I assume because every other land has an orb. Now, we don't really have enough... Actually, we do have enough dead orbs to get this Orb of Yendor if it is not in the Land of Eternal Motion, so never mind on that. Okay. So I did see another Orb of Yendor fairly close to this one, and also fairly close to a hive, but it wants us to go into the Living Cave, which is not really... There is a way of doing that, but I don't know what it is, and I'm not really confident that I can try to do that, because I think it involves more dead orbs than I actually have available to me. So, I didn't actually take that long of a break, so I'm still pretty tired. This is going on a lot longer than I expected it to. And I am not really sure where we are going at this point. What is the best course of action? And so kind of failing anything else, I think it may be worthwhile to go along the edge of Camelot and gather up dead orbs. Because having the Orb of Trickery, as I mentioned, will be very valuable. Just having that option available to us. Orb of the Mind, is that... Now that's the Emerald power, and I wanted that, and I'm sorry I killed that troll right next to it. That was a mistake. But there are other Orbs of the Mind. That's a really powerful orb that I think we might want to take with us into the Dead Caves. We also probably want to look at taking some Orbs of Teleport. I don't know if you can take more than one Orb of Teleport with you, or if they all get used up at once, similar to the... Okay, what am I actually doing? What am I actually saying? So, Orbs of Teleport. I don't know if they act like Orb of Flash, where they just get used up all at once, or if they act more like the Orb of Mind, or the Orb of Trickery, where they use up a certain amount of charge. I don't actually know. So, we have another key that we can go after, and it looks to be in kind of a direction that is pretty promising. My only concern is that we don't have the best location for putting dead orbs, and so we have to do kind of contrived things like that to make it really obvious. And that's going into the vineyard anyway, which is not something I feel comfortable with. The vineyard is, you know, even though I think it's easier than the Land of Power, it's still a very challenging area that makes it very difficult to find your way around. So I'm not really keen on going into that. So, Dead Cave is really what we need to find our way into. I think getting some Orbs of Ether, Teleport, would all be very valuable. What else would be valuable? Maybe we should just do it. Maybe we should just go for it and not worry so much about the orbs. This has been the end of a lot of my runs, has been the Dead Caves, and I'm very skittish about it now. maybe we can stay really close to the crossroads and not have to worry about getting lost. Because I'm seeing a lot of silver just right in this immediate vicinity, and so as long as we don't get lost, that got us to 5. So we could duck out now. Ah, that's problematic. But no, the tentacle is actually not able to get to us, so we are totally fine. That's pretty cool. So we need to find 5 more, and I don't know how long that's going to take or how difficult that's going to be, but we can kind of go along the edge of this dead cave and just watch out. Just try to watch out for silver that's easy to grab, or watch out for orbs that really synergize well. Orb of Flash is actually also very valuable in the dead caves. So here we can test the nature of the Orb of Teleport that I was wondering about. And that's going to require maneuvering a little bit. Okay, so let's not even try to do anything fancy. Okay, so it all gets used up similar to Orb of Flash. So that is good information that we've gathered. Now we can kind of go into the game knowing that we cannot stack those up. We cannot prepare to teleport. So that is going to limit our options a little bit. But I don't think it will limit us too much. I think that we have still the opportunity to get everything that we need. So, what's my plan right now? I want to kind of head around a dead cave, and I like this one, and look out for things like this. Orb of Ether right here. We can use this to duck in, fight this goblin, grab that silver, fight the seep. Now I want to be careful because I don't want to get trapped in here. So 15. So to get out right now would be 14, 13, 12. To try and grab this silver I think would be too risky. So I just want to head straight out, and we will continue to kind of circle around like this and just watch out for opportunities. And I think that that is going to work out for us in the long run. So we have a not very straightforward route that we can take, but a very predictable route that we can take around here. And I actually want to deal with this flail guard before it becomes a problem. I think that's always a good policy, to really jump on things and deal with them as soon as possible. I am so glad that's a lesser demon, because if it had been a greater demon, we would have been in a lot more trouble. So, I believe we were headed this direction. Yeah. Because we've got another Orb of Yendor here that I certainly don't recognize. Now, let's see. This is Orb of Teleport. Not very useful. So I'm not too broken up about covering that up. Now, where is this key? It looks like it's in the crossroads still. So I'm wondering if it is worth going after. That's going to possibly cause a bit of noise. Let's see. We'll put our orb there and there, because I believe that's contrived looking enough that we should be able to recognize it. And it looks like we're going into the desert, unfortunately. It's very hard to tell. But let's see. No, it's still in the crossroads. That's really interesting. Now, we have quite a few of these. We should be able to do it every 5. Yeah, because 5 times 20 is 100. So just having 20 should let us do one every 5 steps. But now we're going into the graveyard, and my concern with that is that dead orbs are native to the graveyard, and so we don't actually have a lot of confidence that we can continue to find our way back, just because there will be too many false trails. So I'm going to just kind of continue my plan of moving along the edge of a dead cave and try and pay attention and not get my golem killed, because this golem is doing a lot of work for us. And I believe this will be the last silver that we need. So if I have not made any really serious mistakes, we should be spawning hyperstones now. We can actually pick up 2 orbs of shielding. Ah, no! We have forgotten to go into the jungle. So that is the next thing we need to do, and I am thinking that we're going to really kit up here. That was a big mistake, in a couple of different ways. So I'm going to kind of circle around the edge of this jungle and hope that we can build up a little bit more of an arsenal, because I am not convinced that we can have a really successful time. Now this, I was hoping that that ivy would, the fire from the fire fairy would jump to that ivy, and it did not. So what are we going to do? Orb of Invisibility doesn't help us out much. Orb of Life actually does. It's very powerful and very useful. Now that's an Orb of Safety, so I'm actually going to, because it's right there, I'm going to check it. And we have been going for about 20 minutes, which is about the amount of time that I aim for. We have an Orb of Speed here. And now I'm kind of just trying to scope out if this is a good enough area that I don't want to save, but I'm not seeing the kind of layout that I want. So I'm going to drop into this wormhole, and I'm going to save the game here. We're going to continue on. We're going to try and pick up some rubies. The jungle is pretty dangerous. This could be the end of us. This could be a very swift end. And then we will go after some hyperstones. So that is what I am looking forward to. I hope that you have enjoyed this, and that you will join me in the future, but most of all, thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.